Hi everyone, welcome to my channel Srinivasa Biology Tutorials. Last previous sections to discuss NCERT line to line, the chapter biological classification. In that biological classification to discuss in a five kingdom or which we take proposed by as in a five kingdom classification. In that the first kingdom is kingdom Monera. Yes. Now the bacteria are the sole member of the kingdom Monera. You take it that in a kingdom Monera, they have only bacteria as present. Either in a they are the either in a eubacteria or either they are present in a they are archaebacteria or eubacteria. Either archaebacteria or eubacteria as present. They are the most abundant organism on the earth because they are complete. Their bacteria are help to as any humans and they are harmful to as any some humans also. And bacteria that occurs in everywhere. We take as any the hundreds of bacteria as present in a handful soil. You take as in a handful soil as in hundreds of bacteria as present. Now they also live extreme habits like as in a hot springs, deserts, snows, deep oceans, where a very few others form their survive. Means they grow as in a hot springs in heavy temperature regions and deserts in dry regions, snow in ice regions and deep oceans regions also. Everywhere the bacteria is present. The many of them live or their other organisms like as any parasites. Some bacteria are they survive as any other on the other organisms. They are called as any parasites. Now here bacteria are grouped under the four categories based on their shape. Here bacteria as in which shape they are based on their bacteria are classified into as any four groups. Here first one the spherical bacteria that is called as an coccus bacteria. In plural is called as an cocci. Singular is coccus and plural is cocci bacteria. And then here see this is in a coccus bacteria. It is in a coccus means they could form as in a completely in a they are spiral shape. Sorry, in that it is in a the first bacteria the coccus bacteria that is a spherical shape means round shape spherical shape. And next the rod shaped bacteria example you see that bacillus it is a singular and bacilli it is in a plural. So here there's some bacteria as in a which shape they having as a complete in a rod shaped bacteria. See these are complete in a rod shaped bacteria is called as what it is in a bacillus bacteria. And next comma shaped bacteria. See in that comma shaped bacteria see that in a comma shape. Example in a vibrio. Example is vibrio. See vibrium is in a singular and vibrio means that is a plural. And some other bacteria they are having in the spiral that shape in bacteria is called as in a the spirulinum bacteria. An example in a that spirulinum. Spirillum it is in a singular and spirilla it is in a plural bacteria. It is in a completely in the spirillum bacteria. Next. Yeah. Next, bacteria structure is very simple. Here mostly that the bacteria the structure is very simple and they are very complex behavior. The structure is simple basically, but it is the behavior is complex behavior is present. Next, compared to as in many other organisms like as in a bacteria, it is a most the extensive metabolic diversity is present. The bacteria as in a most extensive that mostly the extensive the metabolic diversity is present because here in some bacteria you take as any some bacteria are completely they are autotrophs means when it has any the presence of sunlight when to presence of sunlight they prepare as in a their own food materials such you call as what autotrophs. Next they synthesize and their own food materials from that inorganic substance. They completely they prepare their own food materials and they are uptaking as in a the nutrition for the in a other inorganic substances. Next, there are many that photosynthetic autotrophs or in a chemisynthetic autotrophs. Either in a photosynthetic autotrophs or in a chemosynthetic autotrophs means when the presence of the sunlight they prepare their own food materials, and chemisynthetic autotrophs means they get used as some chemicals and they get prepared their own food materials. Next, now as the majority of bacteria are heterotrophs means that depends upon the basically in a other organisms or dead organisms for the food. That is called as what? Heterotrophs. Hetero means to depends upon the in other groups for their food either in a shelter. Okay, that is. Now before only we discuss the bacteria are basically two types. Am I right? Here the bacteria, the two types. One is in a that is archaebacteria. The first one is what? Archaebacteria. The second one is eubacteria. Archaebacteria and second one is eubacteria. First to discuss archaebacteria. What is the archaebacteria? This archaebacteria is special since they are live some in a most harsh habits such as extreme salty areas. Here bacteria, the archaebacteria mostly to grow as everywhere in a harsh habits means most of the tolerant regions or high concentrated regions. They given like also here extreme salty areas means when which bacteria to grow as in salty areas, such bacteria are called as in a halophils, and some bacteria to grow as in high temperatures, hot springs. That bacteria are called as what? Hot springs, and those bacteria are called as in a thermoacidophils. They are called as in a thermoacidophils, and they grow as in a marshy areas means completely they grow as in a their marshy regions. Such bacteria is called as in a they are methanogens. Is called as what? Methanogens. Next, the archaebacteria is different from as in a other bacteria. They having as what? They have different the cell wall structure and their future are responsible for the in a they survive in extreme conditions. The archaebacteria to differ from as other bacteria mostly is what? That is in a different the cell wall is present, and that mostly that future is responsible for as in a they completely they grow as in a extreme conditions. Cell wall is very important. Okay. Next, the methanogens as present in the gut of in several ruminant animals such as in a cows and buffaloes, and they are responsible for the in a production of methane biogas from the dung of these animals. See in that rumen gut regions they have complete the number of methanogens has present. They given as in a the ruminant animals. In that ruminant animals such as in a cows and buffaloes to get responsible production of methane gas. That methane gas to get used to get formation of in a biogas. This biogas mostly they are used as in a in homes. Okay, the biogas from the in a dung, the dung of these animals. Okay, this completely in archaebacteria. This is in a archaebacteria. Next, second one, eubacteria. The second one that is eubacteria. The eubacteria. See, the eubacteria. These there are thousands of different eubacteria, or it is called as an enterobacteria. The number of bacteria is called as an eubacteria or trubacteria. Now, they are characterized by the presence of the in a rigid cell wall. They have cell wall, here they have a rigid cell wall, and that motile flagellum is also present. Motile flagellum also means when they are having as in that flagella is present. For example, this is a bacteria. This bacteria they consist of flagella. What happened? This flagella, mostly this flagella to get help for as in a motility or momentation. To get help for as in a they are motility or momentation. That is. Next, here the cyanobacteria, also referred as in a blue-green algae. The cyanobacteria members. You see that in a cyanobacteria members, they are in a blue-green algae. It have in a chlorophyll A. It has in a chlorophyll A. the similar to as in green plants, and they are photosynthetic autotrophs. They are the photosynthetic autotrophs. And these are cyanobacteria are unicellular, colonical, filamentous, and freshwater and marine or terrestrial algae. See, you take as an any completely blue-green algae members, their major pigment is present. That pigment is chlorophyll A. The major pigment is present, that is in a chlorophyll A. When chlorophyll A is present, the total filament to get appear as in a green color only. Okay. Now, after in this chlorophyll A is present, what happened? They prepare their own food materials when the presence of the sunlight. That is called as a photoautotrophs. Now, here this enter the blue-green algae members. In this blue-green algae members, they having as in different the shape and structures. See here some bacteria, some cyanobacteria members. They appear as in unicellular, colonical, and filamentous form. The unicellular example, you see that in the unicellular example, a chlamydomonas. The unicellular example is, that is chlamydomonas. Chlamydomonas. And colonical example is volvox. And filamentous form example is in a filamentous Spirogyra. Spirogyra. Like the different the shape of the cyanobacteria members as present. And the colonies, they are generally surrounded by as a gelatinous sheath is present. You take as in any one particular bacteria, the bacteria that covered with as in one gelatinous sheath is present. They are covered with as in the entire. For example, I am taking here in these, they complete their outside. They are covered with as in one gelatinous sheath is present. That is in a completely like a mucilaginous sheath. They are often their form as in a blooms. They are polluted water bodies. Later they get forms as what? To make as in a the polluted water bodies that enter the gelatinous sheath to get to form as in a algal blooms. Now, some of these organisms can be fixed in the atmospheric nitrogen in the specialized cells is called as a heterocyst. You see here, I am taking here one Nasdaq member. In this Nasdaq member, here they have some special bodies as present. This special body is called as a heterocyst. It is called as what? Heterocyst. It is mostly helpful as to fix to the nitrogen, atmospheric nitrogen, to fix to the atmospheric nitrogen, like as a Nasdaq and Anabina. These members are complete to get help for as to fix to the atmospheric nitrogen. Next, the chemisynthetic autotrophic bacteria. See, what is the chemisynthetic autotrophic bacteria? See here, some bacteria are oxidized for their food for as a completely in inorganic substances. See now once here chemisynthetic autotrophic bacteria oxidized various inorganic substances such as in the nitrates, and ammonia, and they released the energy for their ATP production. Here nitrites and ammonia, the total conversion into as any form in the form of ATPs to get in the form of ATP will be to get producing the play the great role for recycling nutrients like as in nitrogen, phosphorus, iron, and sulfur. It is very important point. Please note down here. They play great role to recycling nutrients like as nitrogen, phosphorus, iron, and sulfur. Nitrogen and phosphorus and iron and then sulfur This is in mostly in a photoautotrophic bacteria. Next, after heterotrophic bacteria. Next, heterotrophic bacteria. What is a heterotrophic bacteria? Heterotrophic bacteria is the most abundant in nature. The majority of their important in decomposers, simply called as what? Decomposers, means the bacteria to grow only in dead organisms. Now, the may of them have in a significant impact on the human affairs. They are help to making curd from the milk, the production of the antibiotics, fixation of the nitrogen in legume plants. So here bacteria, the heterotrophic bacteria to get help for as in different ways. Yes, and here they help to as in making a curd from milk. And second one also there, that is production of antibiotics. And third one also there, that is the fixation of nitrogen in legume plants. In legume plants. These are the incompletely heterotrophic bacteria. Next, after some bacteria to get harmful to as in to like as in a pathogens, they're caused as in a humans. Like and in some crops, farms, animals, and pets also. Here, some bacteria that cause as some diseases in plants, animals, and human beings also. They given like as in here in humans they given cholera, typhoid, tetanus, citrus, canker in plants. Are there well-known diseases that are caused by different bacteria? So here different bacteria they are caused as in a different diseases. Next, the bacteria. How do the reproduction was takes place? Mostly the bacteria. It is in a single bacteria. It is in a single bacteria. It is in a cell wall. In inner side layer is called as cell membrane. It is in a the genetic material DNA. The bacteria reproduce only by binary fission. That is in a binary fusion. In sometimes in unfavorable conditions, the bacteria to produce as in a spores. In favorable conditions in binary fusion and unfavorable conditions to get participated as in a to get production of the spores. And they also reproduced by as in that sexual reproduction, the adopting as in the primitive type of the DNA transfer from one bacterium to other bacteria. That is a transformation. That transformation processes. Okay, now these are next. After this bacteria, the mycoplasma. The mycoplasma are the organisms that is completely a lack of the cell walls as present. The mycoplasma, it is also called as what? The mycoplasma also called as the jokers of plant kingdom. It's very important. It is called as the jokers of plant kingdom. Jokers of plant kingdom. Now, these are lack of cell wall is present and they are in the smallest living organism known as in survive without oxygen also. They are present as in the everywhere and it is they can survive as without any oxygen. Many mycoplasmas are in a pathogenic animals and plants. Some member of the mycoplasmas they are pathogenic in animals as well as in a plants. Example you see here pleuronymonic like organisms PPLO. The smallest organism this one only na. So PPLO pleuronymonic like organism. Okay, this is a incompletely in a kingdom Monera. Okay. Next, kingdom Protista. Kingdom Protista. A single-celled eukaryotic are placed under Protista. A single-celled eukaryotic organisms placed under kingdom Protista. But the boundaries of this kingdom are not well defined. But in this kingdom is not well defined. What may be the photosynthetic protisterons are one biologist, maybe they are plant, another biologist. Here one they are scientists they are saying about as a name, they're unicellular or someone they are placing as a name, plants are like. And in this book we are include the chrysophytes, dinoflagellates, euglenites and slime molds and then protozoans. Here in this protista they are including as what? Chrysophytes as present and the dinoflagellates, euglenites, slime molds and protozoans as present. Under the protista, now in these members of the protista, the preliminarily the aquatic organisms. This completely in the protista, the protista groups almost has in completely in their aquatic organisms. They are in completely aquatic organisms. Aquatic organisms. Now this kingdom forms completely the link would be as in a completely that deals with plants, animals and fungi. being completely the eukaryotic. The protistans are the cell body content as in a well defined, the nucleus is present and other members of the bound cell organelles, and some they have flagellas or cilia, and protistas that reproduce asexually, the sexually involving in the cell fusion and zygote formation. Now, mostly in this enter the protista to get linked with as in that fungi, plantae, and animalia, and then in this completely the other the kingdom fungi and plantae and animalia, they this kingdom complete to get differ for as in their cell wall, because they having some cilia and flagellas also they are present. And protista, how do the reproduction was takes place? The asexual and sexual reproduction, they are the sexual reproduction takes place as in a cell fusion, and the sexual reproduction takes place by as in a the zygote formation was takes place. Okay, now they are including as what? Chrysophytes, dinoflagellates, euglenites, and then completely slime modes and protozoans to discuss in next class. Thank you all.